Welcome back to Motor Authority. Today we are diving deep into Iran's upcoming air defense game changer, the Sayyad-4B missile, a surface-to-air platform set to redefine the region's strategic airspace by 2026. If you're into high-altitude threats, radar-dodging tactics, and the evolving chessboard of Middle Eastern defense tech, this is one missile you'll want to know about. Now, when we talk about Iran's missile development, it's easy to get lost in a long list of overlapping systems: Shahabs, Bavar-373, Rad, Khordad, and the Sayyad series. But the Sayyad-4B? That's not just another variant. It's a calculated evolution. And what makes it especially interesting is not just its range or speed, although those are impressive here, but what it says about Iran's long-term ambitions for anti-access and area denial, or A2/AD, strategy. At first glance, the Sayyad-4B looks like a stretched version of the Sayyad-4, which itself is an evolution of previous Sayyad missiles. It's designed for use with the Bavar-373 system, which is Iran's indigenous answer to the Russian S-300 and even creeping toward the capabilities of the S-400. And that's no idle claim. Reports suggest the Sayyad-4B will have a range of 300 kilometers. That's a jump forward from the Sayyad-4's 200-kilometer range. We're talking about a missile that can reach high-flying threats as strategic bombers, ISR platforms, possibly even fifth-gen stealth fighters long before they get within striking distance. And for a country that's faced decades of air superiority from rival forces, this is a major shift. The missile's guidance system is reportedly a hybrid, combining inertial navigation with active radar homing in the terminal phase. That means it can be fired at a target over the horizon, and once it gets close enough, its onboard seeker kicks into lock-on and engage. In theory, that gives it both flexibility and precision. Iran has emphasized multi-layered defense in its doctrine, and the Sayyad-4B fits perfectly into the long-range upper tier of that architecture. Another key development is speed. While exact figures aren't fully disclosed, the Sayyad-4B is believed to reach hypersonic velocity, so likely exceeding Mach 5. That puts it in the class of high-speed interceptors, designed to deal with modern threats like cruise missiles, high-speed drones, and possibly even some ballistic threats in the terminal stage. That kind of capability is usually reserved for nations with advanced guidance algorithms and solid-fuel rocket technology. Iran is clearly trying to send a message: they're not just copying, they're innovating. And let's not ignore its platform of the Bavar-373, which Iran unveiled with great fanfare in 2019. Initially dismissed by some analysts as symbolic or exaggerated, the Bavar system has steadily improved. It now includes phased array radar, command and control units, and multiple interceptor types. The integration of Sayyad-4B adds a longer sword to this shield. That matters in a region where air superiority has long been dominated by U.S.-backed Gulf states or Israel. Now, here's where the 2026 timeline becomes significant. It's not just about technology, it's about timing. Iran knows the geopolitical balance is shifting. As air warfare becomes more reliant on stealth aircraft, long-range drones, and precision-guided munitions, the traditional barriers to airspace are weakening. A country without fifth-generation jets or satellite-guided bombs needs asymmetric tools. Sayyad-4B is exactly that, a missile that forces enemies to think twice before even approaching Iranian airspace. From a manufacturing standpoint, Iran claims this missile is domestically produced. That includes the propellant, guidance, electronics, and even radar. For a country under years of sanctions, that's a remarkable claim. And if true, it means Iran's defense industry has matured to a point where external dependencies are less of a vulnerability. It also means they can produce in volume, something that matters in real-world conflict scenarios where you don't just need quality, you need quantity. What's also worth mentioning is the psychological factor. A long-range surface-to-air missile isn't just a tactical tool, it's a strategic deterrent. Sayyad-4B allows Iran to create no-fly zones far beyond its borders, particularly over the Persian Gulf and areas of contested airspace. That could complicate surveillance missions, delay preemptive strikes, or even restrict freedom of movement for regional adversaries. There's also speculation, unconfirmed but persistent, that the Sayyad-4B might be capable of engaging low-orbit satellites or space-based assets. If that's even partially true, it would mark a massive step forward for Iran's counter-space capability. Given the increasing role of satellites in military logistics, communications, and targeting, such a feature would elevate the Sayyad-4B from a regional threat to a global concern. Let's take a step back and consider how the Sayyad-4B compares to its global counterparts. Russia's S-400 uses the 40N6 missile with a similar range of about 400 kilometers. The US Patriot PAC-3 system, while extremely accurate, doesn't quite reach that far. China's HQ-9B and HQ-22 systems are similar in design and purpose, though operational data is scarce. If Iran can actually deliver a missile with 300 kilometers range, Mach 5 speed, and precision terminal guidance are all domestically built, they've entered a club that previously only included superpowers. It's not all upside, of course. The real-world performance of the Sayyad-4B remains untested in combat. There's always a gap between parade ground claims and battlefield effectiveness. Iran has a history of exaggerating capabilities for domestic or political effect. But what we've seen over the last 5 years is a trend, one that shows steady, measurable improvements in missile range, radar integration, and air defense doctrine. Sayyad-4B fits that trend. So what does this mean going forward? For Iran, it strengthens their defense bubble, especially around critical infrastructure like nuclear sites or oil refineries. For regional players like Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, it adds a layer of complexity to any future air campaigns. For the US and NATO, it means another node of contested airspace that must be factored into planning. And for us, the observers, analysts, and enthusiasts, it's a front row seat to one of the most dynamic missile development programs in the world today. Sayyad-4B might not make global headlines the way a new jet or hypersonic glide vehicle would, but make no mistake here, this missile is a strategic shift. That wraps up today's breakdown on the Sayyad-4B and its role in Iran's 2026 air defense strategy. If you're into the future of missile tech, regional power dynamics, and the machines that shape modern warfare, hit that subscribe button. Here at Motor Authority, we bring you the sharpest analysis on the systems that matter. See you next time.